Hi guys, it's KJ the MI Tech Guy here, and today I'm finally going to review the OnePlus 6T. I like to do these after the hype reviews because it lets me review the phone with the context of all the other phones that were released around the same time. OnePlus should no longer be considered a budget smartphone company because they have begun putting out smartphones that go toe-to-toe with any smartphone that comes out. Stick around to see whether or not I think the OnePlus 6T is the best option right now. Let's get right into it. The OnePlus 6T looks great on paper, but I'm assuming since you're already watching this video, you already knew that. It has a 6.4-inch AMOLED display, up to 8GB of RAM, up to 256GB of storage, and runs on the Snapdragon 845 chipset. But the specifications don't matter if the manufacturer can't package this into a phone that looks and works like a premium device. And that is exactly what OnePlus did with the 6T. I have the Midnight Black model with 8GB of RAM, and I really do love the matte finish on the rear glass. The 6T's aluminum frame and curved edges not only make it feel very premium, but also make it probably the phone that is the most comfortable to hold. And the teardrop cutout at the top for the camera is still the most efficient use of screen real estate for the camera cutout. The screen is also very high quality, and you shouldn't worry at all that it's just full HD. The screen is great, colors look great, text is crisp, and I'm sure you'll enjoy viewing whatever content you'd like on this screen. And since it is an AMOLED display, it can only turn on needed pixels, which results in truly black blacks, and OnePlus's ability to implement a nice ambient display on the lock screen. And when I used it, it was also clear that it was a very fast and smooth device. I don't know if it's because of the minimal animations with the user interface, but everything seems so fast and smooth on this phone. There is basically no stutter or lag when scrolling through any menus or feeds. I was very surprised with how fluid OnePlus's gesture animations were, and was impressed with the phone's ability to truly use all of its screen. I have praised the iPhone X and XS in the past for its ability to seamlessly switch between apps. And I'm pleased to see that Google and OnePlus are making noticeable improvements to Android and the Oxygen OS skin in order to make the experience as fluid as possible for the user. Whether you use only gestures or you elect to use the more standard Android Pie interface, this phone is clearly one of the, if not the, fastest Android phones out right now. And if you own the OnePlus 6T, you can rest assured that you're going to get the latest Android updates relatively fast. OnePlus is able to do this because of how minimal their Oxygen OS skin is. The minimal skin and near stock Android experience also helps with battery life. Smartphones these days are easily reaching 1 day, but still not consistently 2 days, and that's where the OnePlus 6T is at. You'll rarely worry about having to charge it midday, but when you do have to, it charges up very fast. OnePlus already had one of the fastest facial recognition systems that I've seen, however secure it may be. And that does not change with the 6T. What did change this year is their omission of the rear fingerprint sensor. This year, OnePlus elected to go into the display with their new fingerprint reader. Although it is noticeably not as instant as a standard fingerprint sensor, it isn't necessarily slow either. It definitely gets the job done, especially when paired with facial recognition. What really surprised me on this phone were its new image processing capabilities in its camera system. The main rear and front-facing 16-megapixel cameras capture a lot of detail, while its improved HDR capabilities do a great job of keeping everything properly exposed. You can also capture some nice wide-angled portrait shots with the 6T. With their latest flagship, OnePlus also debuted their night mode, which does a decent job when everything is perfectly still. But it isn't the best implementation out right now. I recently put the 6T's camera up against the Pixel 3 XL in my latest camera comparison, and although I still think the Pixel 3 was overall better, the OnePlus 6T really put up a good fight. There were even some shots where the 6T was able to capture the image better. In the coming weeks, I will be posting a couple more camera comparisons involving the OnePlus 6T because it seems like it got the necessary updates to its camera. I'll be comparing them with the Note 9 and iPhone XS Max, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for those. Every time I review or recommend a OnePlus device, I remember how impressive the company is. Because when I talk about one of their devices like the OnePlus 6T, the phone seems very impressive. And with impressive phones these days, we've become accustomed to giant price tags. Even when OnePlus was announcing their device, I was anticipating a pretty high price tag because of just how good the phone was looking. But when they announced the price of $549, I was shocked, relieved, and genuinely impressed. To give a little context, here in the US, the Pixel 3 XL starts at $899, the Note 9 starts at $999, and the iPhone XS Max starts at $1,099. This phone costs half as much as some smartphones that you can realistically compare head-to-head with. Unfortunately, with a phone as inexpensive as this, OnePlus had to figure out which features not to include on their latest flagship. The 6T, despite it having a glass back, cannot wirelessly charge. Although OnePlus did a good job of sealing up their phone, it has no official IP rating, and therefore it doesn't give you as much peace of mind as other phones with IP67 or 68 ratings would. It also doesn't have a headphone jack, stereo speakers, or expandable storage. But it is understandable because those are features that some people never use. If you purchase the OnePlus 6T, you're not purchasing a budget device. But you are purchasing a device that is a tremendous value. For a relatively low price, you're getting a phone with a high-quality AMOLED display, 8GB of RAM, an almost completely bezel-less front, and even an in-display fingerprint scanner. If you also take into account how fast the phone is and how good its cameras are, it is hard to find anything you can be disappointed about. Top all of this off with the fact that OnePlus includes a clear case, a really fast dash charger, and a pre-installed screen protector with their phones, and you start to feel really good about how great of a value the OnePlus 6T is. The OnePlus 6T is a great phone that also happens to be a really great value, and it is a phone that I have no problem recommending to anybody regardless of their budget. As I mentioned earlier, I'll be making 2 more camera comparisons involving the OnePlus 6T with the Note 9 and iPhone XS Max, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for those. As I've said in a previous video, I'm really trying to revamp my social media profiles for 2019. So make sure you follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also DM me on those platforms as I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. As for this video, that's all I had to talk about today, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.